Ms. Boyer, you may want to stop sharing your screen right now till we're ready to go. Welcome, everybody. We can see you coming in tonight. Thank you for joining us for this GTEAC meeting. I do want everybody to know this meeting is being recorded, although it is set as a webinar, so your face will not be on camera tonight. Once again, thank you everybody for joining us tonight. We're waiting for a few more people to get in before we start at 6 p.m.
Hi, Roxanne.
Hi, Rebecca, just so you know, we're being recorded. It's already recorded. It's an automatic record.
Yeah, I heard that as I was coming in.
Okay.
Tried to reset my screen a little bit, which it's going to. I don't have any of my capabilities.
I'm sorry that we struggled on the earlier.
That's okay.
We can fix it next time.
Yeah, I was trying not to have to be on my iPad. I don't know what's going on. I'll mess with my computer. There must be something happening with my Zoom capabilities there. And everybody will just see my background of my office, which I try not to ever show because I was trying to get in through my Zoom and log in that way so I'd have virtual background, but it's okay. You guys will see my big lion in the background.
That's okay. I've got mine open too, so everybody can see my background also. Okay, let me see here.
The only thing I can't see is I can't see people.
No, you won't be able to in this setup.
So
let me see if I see our other board members, I will pull them over.
Which I did see when I logged in. I saw the ladies. I saw our two speakers and I saw Vivian when I logged in, but I don't see them now. Oh, there we go. I was able to reset my views so I can see now. Good evening, ladies. Thank you for being here.
I see Liz. I'm going to move Liz over. Whoops.
Okay.
Good evening. Thank you for having us.
Yes, so glad you're here. And Vivian, glad you're here. Welcome to the board.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Okay, I do not see Jessica. Let's see if I can find Marissa. I do not see a Marissa Austin in the chat.
And sometimes Marissa logs in with stuff with her phone number because I know she has a bit of a issue with Zoom. So every time that she's been in, she has logged in with her phone. Hey, Liz, good to see you.
Phil. Marissa, if you're here, can you chat me what your name is?
The chat is disabled on our end.
Oh, it is. She could put it in the Q&A. Marissa, you can drop it in the Q&A. Parents, this is our first time this year, so we're struggling just a little bit. We're almost ready. We're trying to find a couple of our board members. I saw somebody's phone. Nope, I don't think that's it though.
We've got a couple of questions already. Are we automatically muted? Yes, you are.
Yes.
Attendees are muted.
And off, they're not viewed either.
I'm texting Marissa right now to see if she's on. Let me send Phil a message.
Marissa Angel, are you Marissa Austin? I'm thinking you're not. Yes, Angelica, the recording will be available after the meeting. Oh, no, that's not the right Marissa. Thank you, Marissa, Miss Angel, for answering that.
Marissa says that she is on and she should be listed as Marissa Austin.
Okay, let me go back through the list real quick. I don't see that in the list of attendees,
Okay.
but we can keep watching and maybe see it. All right, I'm going to go ahead and start. Good evening, everybody. Welcome. We're glad you're here. This is the GTEAC meeting for Northside. This is our first meeting for the year. My name is Roxanne Brown. I'm the program director for GT here in Northside, and we have some other people that you can see right now online. I'm going to turn it over to our GTEAC president, Miss Rebecca Hughes, and she'll kind of give you an overview of the organization and our speakers tonight. Rebecca?
Thanks, Roxanne. Good evening, everyone. Glad to be here with you. I appreciate you joining us. As Roxanne said, we apologize a little bit for the technical difficulty, but we promise we'll get better. If it's your first time to GTEAC meeting, welcome. We are a parent/teacher organization, as well as we work with the district. So our mission of GTEAC is to enhance the opportunities and experiences of students in Northside ISD GT program by identifying and recommending improvements for the district, and by expanding public opinion and awareness through our communications. And if you've been with us before, you know, by providing grants and scholarships for our GT students, seniors, and GT projects for our specialists. So again, welcome. We're glad to have you. We have a couple of members of our board that you should be able to see tonight. The first one that you'll see here is Liz. If she'll give us a little wave. Liz is the one that you get all our wonderful communications from. So all the reminds, the Facebook post, all those things. Liz does a great job at getting the word out there about our meetings. And then we have a brand new board member with us tonight, Vivian. She is joining us from the district. She may know some of you, and you may know her because she is our GT, or is it scoring specialist that you do our testing? Right? Oh,
She's our
muted.
testing coordinator.
GT testing
Yes.
coordinator. Yes,
Testing
thank you.
coordinator. That's her official title.
Yeah.
So, but she is coming to us as our tech coordinator. So she is going to work with us on this piece that we're doing tonight. And then we've got our other board members, which is Phil Sandra. Hopefully he's out there somewhere and we just haven't seen him log in, but he is our vice president We've got Jessica Ford, who is our treasurer, and we've got Marissa Austin, that is our secretary. So we are glad to be here. We're glad to start the year. We've got some new things that are going on this year. So we're pretty excited to get everything started this year. I wanted to just do a couple of quick announcements before we get our speakers on this evening. We have some fundraisers that we're going to do to kick off the year that hopefully will help us get some funds in for those grants and those scholarships. So the first one that we are going to do this evening or talk about this evening is our t-shirt fundraiser. So in the past, we have done either a walk-a-thon, if you've been around with us for a really, really long time. And then as COVID came around and changed things for us, we moved over to a just single shirt fundraiser. And so I was going to show you the image this evening, but I don't have all that up because we had some difficulties on my end as well with my laptop. So I apologize, but I will tell you that your GT specialist will be getting information from us with the t-shirt design, and they will be getting a link that will get you to our site where you can purchase the t-shirts. So we're looking forward to launching that out. And our goal this year is to sell at least 1,000 t-shirts. So we hope you will love the t-shirt like we do. We hope that you will purchase for yourselves, even your friends. If they want to help support GT, they do not have to be a parent. They can be a grandparent. They can be a neighbor. They can be anybody. So please spread the word and help us sell some t-shirts this year. The second fundraiser we have going on is our Panda fundraiser. Hopefully you've seen all of Liz's announcements with the quick and easy way on September 27th, which is a week from today, next Thursday, that you will be able to get on Panda's website. You will be able to get the code that we have listed, and you can get on there and order your food online. That is the requirement, is to order the food online, and that way you can put in that code, and we will actually get our code. That code will drive our fundraiser funds, and so they will give us credit for it, and we will actually be able to hopefully raise at least as much as we did. And I'm going to apologize, I think I said Thursday, because today is Thursday, but it is actually Friday the 27th. The date is correct. So Friday the 27th is the date of that fundraiser. So it's super easy to do, and it can be anywhere. It's nationwide. So send it to family and friends out of state, everywhere. I think we had purchases that were made in 6 different states the last time we did this fundraiser. So feel free to pass it along to anybody, your coworkers, and make sure that they use the code, and that way we receive credit. And then we'll have another one coming up after that on October 31st for Halloween. We hope that either before or after you take your kiddos out trick-or-treating, or they go on their own, that they can order from Panda ahead of time, and they can still stop by the restaurant, pick it up. They can still eat it there. They just can't order through the line in order for us to receive the credit. So again, please look for all those announcements and things on our social media. Liz has them out there, and we hope that you will give us your support. So I will move on now to our wonderful ladies that are going to speak to us tonight about social. Whoop, go ahead.
I wanted to make one announcement before you introduce our speakers. So
Yes.
Everyone, I want to make sure everybody understands, in this webinar, if you have a question that you would like to pose, you'll need to drop it in the Q&A section that's located in the bottom. And when you use that Q&A, we'll have a list of questions that we can then kind of go through and ask the panelists at the end. So I just want everybody, all the parents, to understand how that works. All right.
Great.
I'm sorry,
Thank you,
Rebecca.
Roxanne.
Thank you.
So we have 2 ladies that are going to speak to us tonight about social and emotional needs of GT students. I'm guessing that's why you're all on this evening. So I will introduce Jennifer Boyer and Sandra DeLeon. They are both NISD GT specialists. They both have successfully raised 2 GT children themselves. Jennifer has over 30 years of educational experience, including 17 years as a GT specialist, and she is currently at Murnin Elementary. And then Sandra has over 18 years of educational experience with 11 years as a GT specialist, and she is currently at Raba Elementary. So we're glad to have both of you ladies. Thanks for being here. I'll let you take over from here.
All right. Good evening, everyone. We are happy to be here. Again, we're here to learn about the resources that you can use to support your gifted child or children as a parent. And my name is Sandra, and I'm at Raba Elementary School.
And I'm Jennifer over at Murnin. Nice to see you. Thank y'all for being here tonight. Okay, so here's our lineup for this evening. Yeah, first we're going to start with we're going to start with the actual social emotional needs of gifted kids. Then why is it important to pay attention to that in the first place? And then we're going to share our resources with you, so just a few that we've come up with together, and then we'll be open for questions. All right, so who recognizes this comic strip? That's right, it's Calvin and Hobbes by Bill Watterson. And if you're unfamiliar with this syndicated comic strip, it's primarily about a young boy named Calvin and his best buddy Hobbes, his tiger Stuffy, who also lives in Calvin's imagination as a living BFF. So take a moment to read just a few comics. We've got about 2 or 3, and think about what words you would use to describe Calvin. Maybe you might even start recognizing somebody you might know in Calvin as well. One's a little bit more different than the previous 2. Okay, can we go to the next slide? Okay, so Calvin could arguably be the perfect introduction to the unexpected characteristics of many gifted students. According to Ian Bird from the Birdseed website and blog, here are some recurring themes in Watterson's cartoons that illustrate Calvin's innate gifted characteristics. Calvin is an intelligent behavior problem in and out of school. Calvin loves learning, but he often dislikes school. Calvin exhibits asynchronous behavior. So that means his brain's emotions and physical abilities reflect different stages of development, but are all part of his authentic self. Calvin possesses the emotional overexcitabilities or intensities described by Polish psychiatrist Dabrowski. It's called intensity of thought, intensity of purpose, intensity of emotion, intensity of spirit, and intensity of soul. Those are the many different intensities that gifted kids and adults can have. Calvin is gifted with an emotional sensitivity that compels him to grapple with deep moral issues and what's called Weltschmerz. That's a little hard to say. And what that means is the pain of the world. And so it's kind of an existential dichotomy. So what are some of the characteristics that you noticed? Calvin's intelligence is highly advanced, but rather than being used for good, it supercharges his typical bad behavior. This kind of intelligent misbehavior could be a sign of a kid who's bored when things are slow and simple. A fascinating, fast-paced classroom and enriching activities at home can make all the difference. Calvin also loves learning, but he dislikes school, right? Calvin has intense interest in preferred subjects, but is absolutely uninterested in the topics taught in school. His research report on bats illustrates this perfectly. Asynchrony is another one of Calvin's developmental hallmarks. That means his development is strikingly uneven. His brain, emotions, and physical abilities are all out of whack. This is known as asynchrony and is common in our gifted learners. Calvin's poor physical abilities are an ongoing theme. He doesn't like PE. He only enjoys the sport he invented and endlessly struggles to ride a bike. At the same time, Calvin displays his above age level intelligence in the realm of art and experiences the resulting disdain from somebody who does not understand what he's talking about. Further, Calvin's sense of justice and morality is quite advanced, but he certainly can't be considered emotionally mature. Don't expect gifted students to develop at an even rate. A young genius may very well be emotionally immature. Imaginational overexcitability is another characteristic of Calvin. He's the poster boy for it. He doesn't just like learning about insects or aliens, he becomes those things. Here's Calvin as a plane, a dinosaur, an ant, and the intrepid spaceman Spiff. Calvin's wild imagination gets him into endless trouble, especially since his stories are easily interpreted as lies. A vivid imaginary world and even a habit of stretching the truth might be unexpected clues that you're looking at a gifted kid. Emotional sensitivity is another one that Calvin displays. Despite his tendency for selfish behavior, Calvin has moments of surprising emotional depth. In the previous strip, he deals with deep moral issues. However, this could lead to other emotional outbursts, such as frustration. So it's kind of a double-sided coin. Perhaps you might see some of Calvin's gifted characteristics in your own child. Perhaps they may present themselves in differing situations. Nevertheless, we can still relate to the way that Calvin often presents his giftedness.
And so we come to why we should pay attention. So you see how Calvin has exhibited all these behaviors, but then we take it one step further. What are these behaviors and how do these behaviors affect a gifted child? And how do these behaviors affect or characteristics affect a gifted child in the classroom? So definitely our top three, and there are many more, but today we're just going to focus on three: emotional distress, social isolation, and underachievement. And these are three reasons why we should pay attention. So let's delve a little bit deeper into each one of these. Emotional distress. Gifted students are at higher risk for experiencing emotional distress when compared to their peers. According to a study published in Gifted Child Quarterly, nearly 20 to 30% of gifted students experience significant levels of anxiety, depression, or other emotional issues. And that's why we need to pay attention. Gifted students need targeted social and emotional support to help them manage and navigate their unique challenges effectively and learning how to cope with them. Social isolation. Gifted kids often face social isolation due to their advanced abilities. A study in the Journal for Education of the Gifted found that 40% of gifted students reported feeling socially isolated and have difficulty forming friendships with peers. And I think all of us parents here who have a gifted child can relate to this, definitely. And it makes them sad. This impacts overall well-being and academic performance. If you affect well-being, it will affect other areas. Fostering those supportive social environments for gifted kids can definitely help combat that isolation. underachievement. Emotional and social challenges faced by our GT kiddos can lead to underachievement. And according to the National Association for Gifted Children, GT students who do not receive adequate emotional support can definitely and are twice as likely to underperform academically compared to their peers who do receive that proper support. Again, going back to that targeted support systems. Addressing those unique social and emotional needs of our gifted students can help them reach their full potential. So how can we as parents and us as educators support them? And for this session, we're going to focus on you guys as parents.
All right. What you see in front of you is
A treasure trove.
Oh, there are
Mhm.
so many other resources out there, but these were just some of the few that we found. And what we tried to do here is we tried to organize them by different organizations that you can go to for support, books that are excellent resources, websites, and podcasts. So hold on, we will talk about it more in just a second. We want to highlight 3 or 4 different items on that list. The first one is the organization called SENG, and that stands for Supporting the Social and Emotional Needs of Gifted Kids. Really quick, I'm just going to share that as a teacher and as the parent of a gifted children, I should say, this was saving grace for me, this organization.
For me too.
It was started by Dr. James T. Webb in 1981 because a parent of a student that he had actually came to him asking for some support. And so because of that, because this child was in crisis, he began SENG. And since 1981, it has grown exponentially. And we watched it even since we've started working with SENG. It has really become more evolutionary. Okay, some of the things that SENG offers are a wonderful resource library. It offers parent groups, and those parent groups can be in person or online, depending on your location. And it also has happy hours. So virtual happy hours, just so you can go in and pop in and just be casual with other gifted parents.
And we all know that parenting a gifted child is very different than parenting a child who is not exhibiting those or demonstrating those gifted characteristics.
And you definitely need each other. Parents need each other because it can be very isolating as a parent when you are the parent of a gifted child, because it's difficult to talk about with other people that might not understand. And it's very common for parents to not want to sound like they're bragging. And so we need each other. Yeah, we will at the end. Okay. All right. The next one I'm going to share is a book that SENG actually uses as a book study when they offer support groups. And that is called The Gifted Parenting Journey. And it's written by a psychologist who I follow on Substack, and her name is Gail Post. And and she's really awesome. And she actually does therapy across the state. So anyway, this is a wonderful book if you just kind of want some guidance, and it's very thorough, and it talks about how kids are usually identified, and just a lot of resources and support, and knowing that you're not alone as you go through the chapters. All right, these 2 are for your kids. The first one is called The Gifted Kids Workbook, and it's a really great book that you and your kids can do together. It's written by a therapist parent, and she's got gifted children of her own, and she wrote it for gifted children. And it has great learning lessons that you can complete together. The next one is Big Life Journal. That is a website, and it offers a blog post. It offers all kinds of materials, and it's all about teaching your kids perseverance and how to be happy in their own skin. And it helps them to learn how to grow a growth mindset and be okay with challenges. A lot of time our gifted kids can be perfectionists and they don't know how to handle failure. And that is a life skill that's very important for them to learn, especially as they grow up, so that when they get to college and they're kind of off on their own, we want them to have learned that productive struggle and what to do when they encounter that. And so Big Life Journal, they have things for sale, but then if you sign up for their newsletter, they'll send you freebies every month. All right, and so back to our treasure trove here. If these are links that are attached to each word or to each item here, and we are going to send this out to you as a PDF later on. Your GT specialist will, and that way you can kind of peruse through all the different resources. Okay.
And we wanted to go back to the why again. So looking at that emotional distress, social isolation, and underachievement. And parents, we really need to be aware of these characteristics of GT students to better understand and support their very unique needs. Again, that targeted support. Advanced cognitive abilities. Gifted students demonstrate, of course, we know, that's why we have these services in the district, a higher level of intellectual capability compared to their peers. And it can manifest as exceptional problem-solving skills, advanced reasoning, or a deeper understanding of complex problems and concepts. Rapid learning. Oh, I need to go to the next one. There we go. Gifted students typically learn new concepts quickly and with ease, may grasp new ideas faster than their peers, and may become bored or frustrated if not sufficiently challenged, which is why we need to address these things. High sensitivities, as we mentioned before. Gifted students can be highly sensitive to both emotionally and sensory-wise, They might be more affected by their surroundings and more empathetic towards others' feelings. So they're looking at social justice as well. Perfectionism. Gifted students have a tendency to be perfectionistic, which can hinder them, often setting up very high standards for themselves, and may experience stress or frustration if they feel they cannot meet their own expectations. Asynchronous development. Yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say, and expectations of others.
Definitely, which sometimes we need to remind them, hey, we do realize you're expecting this of someone who may not be able to reach that expectation, and bringing them and grounding them again. Gifted students may have uneven development. We're talking about the asynchronous development here. And us as parents, we can easily get caught in saying, well, you're a GT student, you should be able to tie your own shoes. You're a GT student, so why did you get an 80 on X assignment? We're talking about asynchronous. They're still kids. Gifted students may have uneven development where their intellectual abilities are significantly ahead of their social or emotional development. And we need to teach these social skills and remind them of how they're thinking and what they're thinking. And it can lead to difficulties in relating to their peers or handling emotions appropriately. Creative thinking. Gifted students often show strong creative abilities, thinking outside the box and coming up with unique solutions or ideas. And many times this can be seen as a negative behavior or misunderstanding. Strong sense of justice. Gifted students may have heightened sense of justice and fairness. It's going to bother them when a game is not played fairly, and their response may not be what we would want them to have as a response. And just working with them, often advocating strongly for what they believe is right. Understanding these characteristics as parents can help us provide targeted support. Again, that key word, targeted, understanding their unique challenges, and create an environment that nurtures our gifted child's intellectual and emotional development. So we've talked a lot about resources, and you'll get your treasure trove as Jennifer said, via a PDF, linkable PDF through your GT specialist. But we also want to highlight our GT specialists on campus. Yes, very, very important as your first go-to. Recently, I had a parent reach out and said, Miss DeLeon, can you please help me? I just need some strategies. My child is having a little bit of a challenge, a lot of a challenge in losing games. And he's a sore loser. So just talking it out. And she said, okay, good. It's not just me. And she almost felt relieved at the end, saying, okay, I'm walking away with just some simple strategies that I can start implementing. Your GT specialist is a treasure trove within herself or himself, and they can offer that support, even if it's beginning with the validation that these challenges are not out of this world and you are not alone. And believe it or not, we can see it in the classroom as well. So please reach out to your GT specialist. They're amazing resources and they can point you to right directions. But also remembering that we're not therapists and we're not counselors.
Definitely. Definitely.
We're a starting point.
Right. We're a starting point. We're definitely not therapists. We don't have all the answers. And so it's important that if there's ever an emergency or anything like that, we just want to encourage you to reach out to a professional.
Yes. And just a reminder that, like we said, GT specialists are starting points and they can point you to the right direction, but our counselors on our campuses are also amazing resources. They also have different things that they can offer to help support any specific needs. And just remembering, the key is remembering that you have a starting point here, and you have a starting point with these organizations, with these sites, with these podcasts, with the books, and you are not alone. And we are establishing a community here of gifted learners, and it's a journey. And we're excited to be part of that in your child's elementary career, but it doesn't stop there. And middle school GT specialists are also equipped with understanding the characteristics of our gifted learners, and in high school as well. Yes. And as gifted GT specialists, like Jennifer said, we don't have all the answers, but we sure do have a lot of combined years of experience. And sometimes a small strategy or a small understanding of a characteristic can make a big difference for parents and for families as well.
For sure. So we hope that you learned a lot during this presentation. We hope that you will really use the resources that we're sharing out. We think that they're fantastic. I would definitely, if I were a parent and needing some support, I would definitely use these websites and resources. I still do. We still do.
Yes, we do.
We listen to the podcast going to and from work. And
read articles. Yep.
Definitely. And so be a learner, and so that you can understand your child and communicate with your child. And that will help be a great support to them.
And don't be afraid to take that risk and saying, okay, I'm a parent of 2 more children, but why is my son or why is my daughter so different? And if they're in the GT program, then that's your starting point. Researching why they are different and understanding those characteristics can help you understand those unique needs and unique challenges that they face. And in their world up here, it's very different than their peers' worlds. They understand, they perceive that world differently. They have a different perspective.
And feel it.
They feel it
differently.
And their intensity of those feelings are skyrocketed, very different levels than their peers. And that, as a starting point, as a parent, can help you understand. Just a little background of us and our children. That's why I became a GT specialist. My son was, I didn't understand what things were happening and some of the behaviors that he exhibited. He was reading very early on, and he was in early childhood. I wanted to understand more. So I started researching and I started reading articles, and then I started understanding his unique characteristics, and I started seeing them as blessings and started seeing them in a more positive outlook. And so if he wanted to argue about something, then I started negotiating. I started using some tactics here, but just understanding him. And then with my daughter, I was able to, I felt more equipped to parent her because I had already been on my research journey. You want to talk a little bit about your kids?
I just want to say ditto. I mean, it was the same way for me as well. Just to understand my children and interestingly enough, that my two daughters, who are only a year apart, are very, very different in their gifted characteristics. And so, like, talk about trying to, have all the moves and have figure out, what am I doing and make sure that I'm equipped. Yeah, for sure. For sure. So I see that we have some questions here. I think that Roxanne's I don't know. Roxanne, are you gonna?
I am. I'm here. I'm going to read you
Okay.
a couple of questions.
So
I'm still trying to learn the webinar correctly.
Yes.
Okay, so we had a couple. We had a parent ask about how can we help promote a growth mindset?
Oh, okay. Well, I will tell you that the book Growth Mindset is written by Carol Dweck, and she is a psychologist out of Stanford University, and she's the one who kind of did the research on growth mindset, and she's the one who coined the phrase or coined the term. And I would tell you, if you're a reader, I would read the book Growth Mindset first. I had wished that I had had that book when my children were younger, but it didn't come out until they were in high school. I will tell you that the number one thing that you can do starting this evening is praising your child for their effort and not for their performance. So if your child got an A on as a grade on an assignment, ask the child what they did to work hard and work what effort they put in and what they did to earn that A. And so what you want to do is you want to put an emphasis on effort, not outcome.
And that changes that mindset. And as a parent, that's the key to changing the mindset of your child.
And yourself, because we often have fixed and growth mindsets ourselves in lots of different areas. Even like if you say, oh, I'm not a creative person, that's what we call a fixed mindset. And so there's a magic word that Carol Dweck likes to use, and that's the power of yet. And if we say, I can't do it, or we hear our child saying something to that effect, we can always tell them, oh, remember our magic word? It's the power of yet. And so if you don't want to sit and read the whole book, you can quickly go to Big Life Journal. And that is what that whole website is all about, and how you can foster those things.
And it's also understanding that perseverance comes with a little bit of work behind it. And it may take her 3 times before she can figure out a certain problem or figure out a solution to something she's dealing with. It might take me 6 times. It might take me 6 plus a little support from somebody, and understanding that there are different ways to get to and get through that yet. So it's not just keep trying over and over and over. Well, we might need a little bit of support, a little boost, as what we call it in the classroom, just a little boost, and then I'm off running. There's also a question here.
I was going to say, here's another one that I think will kind of lend itself to continuing that conversation. Someone said, I get a little uneasy with labeling my child as gifted, and I am a bit reluctant to emphasize this worth my child in great of developing a superiority complex. Is there a good way to balance the emotional needs without having them develop an unhealthy sense of ego?
A great question. Great.
We address it in the classroom too.
Yes. One of the things that I've always told my own children, and I tell my students, is your intelligence is a starting point. How hard you're willing to work and grow that intelligence is up to you.
Doesn't
Um,
guarantee.
It's
Mhm.
not a guarantee. So exactly. Where they decide to take that intelligence is going to take effort and time and a lot of failure and a lot of mistakes. And the people, science, there have been studies. I can't tell you, I can't quote the studies right now to you. I apologize, but there are many studies out there that show that people with a growth mindset end up being more humble and more successful. You can have a gifted person who, you know, is just stuck on, well, I'm gifted, I don't have to work at anything, I know it all. And then you've got another person who understands that, well, you know, that can only take me so far in life. So I need to work at it. And so again, that growth, fostering that growth mindset,
And-
I would say is definitely the way to go.
And I think part of that fostering is including the language that we use as parents, as educators. So just it goes hand in hand with, oh, you got an A, oh, a 98, awesome. No, it's, okay, let's talk about the effort and reflect on that. Oh, not saying, oh, you're so smart. Oh, you're going to figure it out because you're so smart. Staying away from that language because it actually becomes a burden to them. And they are hearing you're so smart. So when they encounter a little bit of a challenge, a little bit of a struggle, then they're like, well, I've been told, yeah, I've been told I'm so smart, I should be getting this. And that becomes a burden where kids who have that mindset of, well, I'm gifted, that means that I think differently, I can problem solve at a different capacity, not necessarily a superior capacity, but just in a different way. My brain is wired in a different way. I see the world in a different way. Then that can help us when we do encounter that struggle. Okay, so how do I go about and facing this challenge? How can I work around it? What do I need? I'm not just depending on myself. Who can I reach out to help me get to this point that I need to get to? So it all comes back together and the language that we use with our kids.
I think it's also important for us to be okay with using that term gifted with our kids.
Yes.
And help them understand they're different because of the way that they see the world and the way that their brain works. And they, just like if your child was a diabetic or had to wear glasses or something like that, we would teach them, you know, you're different from other people. It doesn't mean you're better or worse. It's just you're different. And so this is there are positives and negatives to this. They're both, you know, two sides of the same coin again. And so it's important to discuss it and talk about it and let them ask those questions. And, you know, just again, it doesn't mean that you're better than anybody else. It just means that you think differently and see the world differently.
And it's having those conversations to remind them that there's no superiority and it's not a privilege. It's an educational service. And just like we would say, if it's a diabetic person, I'm diabetic, I need XYZ. I'm dyslexic, I need XYZ. I'm a gifted learner, I need XYZ.
We hope that helped.
That's great. Thank you, ladies. Okay, we have another one. This is a parent who wants a little help with finding balance. In other words, challenging him to keep him interested versus overworking him and burning him out. She would love to broaden his interests, but understands he has his own preferences. When is it okay to push, and when is it best to simply support?
Oh,
that's a great question.
That's a hard
too.
one.
Yes.
I don't know if I have the answer to that one. Do you know?
I mean, I don't know that we all know the perfect answer. I would say, I think you have to really be careful, especially like you're talking about burning him out. There's you pushing him and there's him pushing himself. And we really want kids to drive themselves, but have a healthy drive with it. And these ladies all already talked about what we should be praising is the process, not the grade. And you have some kids that will drive themselves crazy about grades. And we want to turn the focus on their learning and the process of learning. And probably when it's his own preferences, he's not going to be burned out because he's choosing to immerse himself in that topic that he finds interesting. I was a high school teacher, high school GT specialist for many years. I saw kids burn out because by then it's gone on so long. And I think you really want to try to stay away from the burnout and allow them to lead their educational journey.
And I think it's really important to be, as parents, reflective, because that allows you that
It sounds like
opportunity
they are.
to,
Yeah, being reflective. Yeah.
exactly. So you question if they want to do sports and music and something else, then and it's their want. You talk about what burnout is.
Yeah,
and what
how
are the
we gonna
risks.
do all of that
You
in
talk
1
about
week?
the plan, and you talk about it all.
This is what it would mean if you did all these things.
And then also reflect as a family. Okay, so we've been doing this, and we're starting to see some changes in behavior, and reflect. Do we want to continue, or do we need to let something go for our well-being? And again, we don't want to get to that burnout stage. So that's a continuous conversation that you have with your student, with your child.
Oh, hold on. I just clicked and lost the questions. I was trying to answer somebody else's. There's a couple there's one that's talking about, is there really a significant difference between raising a gifted child from another child? And we had a couple of people that seem to have children where one is identified gifted and one is not. But the other one may be very, very bright. The other one may have some struggles. So maybe if y'all could talk a few minutes about your experience with that, because we won't be able to answer every single question tonight. So we're going to kind of group a few.
Yeah, definitely. We need to remember that when a child is identified as gifted, we need to try our best to remember that those identified gifted children do not all fall in the same category. There are different gifted children.
On a spectrum.
Yes, yes. So you might be raising two GT children and they're different, like Jennifer mentioned with her daughters, and I have my two were identified as well with testing, and they're very different. So personality comes into play, their life experiences come into play, their own way of understanding the world, their own brain, their own learning styles come into play. So definitely a child who is GT, it varies from another child who's GT. We have the underachieving GT student. We have the solid GT student, the poster child of a GT student. We have the student who, I mean, there's just
the multi-exceptional,
six different
GT
types
kid,
of GT students. And so we need to remember as parents that it's not going to be a cookie cutter for GT students. And definitely raising a GT student is different than raising a student who is not GT.
And although sometimes you'll see characteristics that overlap with kids who are not identified, like we said, it is a spectrum. And if your child's been identified as gifted in Northside, it's because they've demonstrated a need for services.
So yes, your high achieving student who hasn't been identified as GT might exhibit those perfectionistic characteristics, or those high expectations, maybe a little bit of the emotional intensity, but there is a difference.
So I've had a lot of people ask, they want the link. So once again, I've answered the question multiple times. I'm trying to answer as fast as I can. The links, what will happen is this presentation is recorded and it will be made available. Usually our teachers will send it out with a link in their newsletter. And the ladies have agreed, our speakers have agreed to make a PDF of all the links for you. So you'll be able to get that PDF and click and go directly to the resources. Someone asked to take a picture. A picture won't help you get to those resources. So we will be providing that in your next newsletters that come from your teachers.
You'll be able to access that treasure trove.
Yes.
Yes, it's yours. Just wait a little bit. It'll come with the recording.
Yes, and if it does, your GT specialist is going to be sending it out.
Yes.
So look for it from your child's GT specialist.
So I would encourage all the parents that are asking questions on here, I would encourage you to go to the Northside website. It's nisd.net. When you go to nisd.net, you'll see a bar that goes across the top and it says district. If you go to open the district tab, scroll down to advanced academics, gifted and talented lives under advanced academics, and you will be able to find GT. There's information about all of our various grade levels. There's our plan for our district, our GT plan. You're welcome to read through that. And then the next person I would go to, as our speakers have said tonight, is to go to your campus GT specialist. We are very lucky in this district that we have at least one GT specialist assigned to every campus. That does not exist across the state. If you've lived elsewhere, you will see we are very lucky that we have that support in this district. And I encourage you to reach out and speak to your campus GT specialist. They're happy to email you, visit with you on the phone when they have open house. All of those are opportunities for you to get to know your specialist. Because we're going to need to stop.
I want to remind parents that some of these questions can be addressed by looking at that SENG database.
Yes.
They have them by topics. You can go in and look for specific articles on perfectionism,
Intensities,
so being a sore loser,
perfectionism. And so there's also some about, I know we had a question from a parent about, having gifted kids that are different ages. And so the Sing Library there's a whole section on teens. One thing that is on our resources is a book called The Gifted Kids Survival Book. And there's one for elementary kids and another one for the gifted called the Gifted Teens Survival Book. And so that's kind of like a workbook for your kids to work through, and you can work through that with them together so that y'all can have a conversation together.
Definitely. And subscribe to some of the podcasts. They go through these topics, lots of wonderful podcasts there. You just search for the particular topic that you're wanting a little bit more on, or strategies, parenting strategies on a gifted child, and you'll have access to that. It's just a lot of information out there, a lot of wonderful resources.
Yes, be careful. You might feel like you're trying to take a drink from a fire hose.
Yeah.
But,
start with
hang in
particular topics, and start with the
yes.
topic and go there.
All right. Thank you, ladies, so much. If you could stop sharing. All right. Rebecca, I'm not sure if you have some closing words. I was going to let people know about our next two. I'm sorry. I don't know what's wrong with it, Rebecca. Whoops, that's not the right thing. Our next two meetings are going to be about, our next one should be about high school advanced academics. It's with our director, Northside Director of Advanced Academics. We'll be talking about all the opportunities that come, especially in high school. So even if you have littles, I think it's important for you to hear kind of the pathway for advanced academics, what opportunities they have. And we're not just talking about the gifted services as they move forward. We're going to talk about the other advanced services, advanced classwork that's there. And then the one that happens in November will be Miss Burleson will be speaking about there she is. We'll be speaking about COGAT scores, and if you have received COGAT scores, and what do COGAT scores mean, because we have 5th grade testing coming up. If you have littles, they've probably had grade level testing as a 2nd grader, or some of our kids had it as a 3rd grader. So there's a lot of kids roaming around with COGAT scores, and parents don't always understand what those COGAT scores mean. Then in the spring, we'll have a whole nother slate of additional presentations, some on summer opportunities. And the one in February will be our superintendent, Dr. Kraft, who will be here to bring a message to you then. Rebecca?
Yes, I am on. Thank you. So thanks for going through those, Roxanne. I was going to go through those. Hopefully, again, most of you are on our social media. Hopefully, that's how you found us this evening. And so all those dates, Liz has done a great job about putting those together. And so all that information will be posted on our social media. And then we are slowly working on getting a website together. So that will be coming soon. And hopefully we'll have a link going from the district. So even though we are a separate organization from the district and function independently as our own nonprofit, we have a great partnership with the district. And so Dr. Kraft has said that they will allow us to have that link on the district GT website where you can get to our website page. So coming soon, exciting stuff that is going to be out there for you. I just want to say thank you again to our ladies for coming or getting on and speaking to us about social and emotional needs. I have been with the board in some capacity since my daughter was in first grade, and she is now a first-year college student at Rutgers University in New Jersey. So I've been around for a long time with this organization, and we're trying to continue to be a resource for you guys. So if you have comments, if you have ways that we can improve to make things better for you, we'd love to hear about those. You can let your GT specialist know, they can get them to us. You can log on to our social media and express them there. We would love to hear from you. So again, please don't forget our fundraisers that are coming up. That information will be going to your GT specialist. It will actually probably be announced on our social media pages before it gets spread out next Thursday from your GT specialist. So you can look for it there. We're very excited on the things we have to come. And we again appreciate you being here this evening. So thank you so much. Have a good night. And we will see you again on October 17th.
Thank you so much. Thank you, ladies.
Thanks, everyone.
You did a great job.
Yes, thank you.